dirty tricks. From our hood you have made a new plantation. Planting your guns and crack rocks. Precondition as your victims of history. Now we slave to this new trade.
So yeah, this Brother Blanks. We here, right here, Black Abolition Movement for the Mind. And as always, you know, we just simply here, you know, aspiring to do some good in the neighborhood. Do the will and the work of the Most High and many ancestors that came before us and who showed us that we stand on today. If you like that track you're listening to, Say Can You, that's the way you can support us. Go on, download it from Apple and all streaming platforms. It's called Say Can You, letter U. And also, this is our script that we'll be speaking from. This is, let me get it the right way. That's the Scar. The Scar. Yeah, Scar Spangled. That's the book. And as you're looking back here, that is cover and the promo for the script that we'll be speaking from and coming from to you on many of our podcasts and platforms, if you will. You can reach us here at 773-510-1732. Black Abolition Movement for the Mind.
Yes, and I'm Joseph Clark, and part of BAM Abolitionists, Black Abolition Movement for the Mind too. I'm happy to be on board with my brother Blanks.
Hey.
And just over here, like he said, trying to do some good in the neighborhood.
So stay tuned as we open up, and we're just going to be talking with you a little bit on peace be upon her, our sister Sonya Massey. So right now I'm sitting here with my brother Joe, and we're just gonna kind of talk a little bit. Joe, I'll let you talk to us.
Yes, I'm glad to be on board with Ben. I'm glad that Brother Blanksy brought me on board, you know, to be part of the team, because I see that we're doing a lot of things in the community, you know, just trying to help to provide, you know, just help as much as we can for our brothers and sisters. And yeah, I've been having a lot of experience. I always, when we do our stuff for the community, whether it's garden or, you know, showing out for things, situations that has happened around the community and outside of the community, that's relatable for us to stand together when there's a crazy cause situations has come into this world, like the Sonya Massey case. And it felt so good, you know, just being there for all the families, Sonya Massey kids, and just being along with my brothers and Brother Blanks. It was so good to, you know, just for us to be together and try to prevent from this happening again. And
what a season we're in. There is Brother Jesse Jackson. Then Jesse is a disciple of Dr. Martin Luther King. Reverend Al Sharpton marches in his mentor, followed by ministers from our division and the.
I just want to ask, you know, Brother Blanks, you've been here, you've been doing this for so long with BAM Abolitionist Movement of the Mind, for the Mind.
You got it.
Like years putting your hard work, whether it's, you know, anything that's not bringing equality, because, you know, we're not going through so much in this world, and we're still fighting the big fight with the Sonya Massey case. How do you feel? Prevent that from happening, and just, you know, trying to bring justice into the world. Like, what you think what we can do?
Well, I think what we can do. I think what we can do is what we already doing. And you know, I often say, Joseph, every generation has an obligation to do something and make a contribution. We might not end it all while we're here, but I take a look at my generation, and I'm looking at your generation now. And here, one of the solutions we have to bridge that generational gap. because much too often, you know, I can show up, but it's always better when we can show up, like my generation and your generation show up together. Because when we was at, when we went to the rally in Chicago, this is a rally we went to in Chicago, and where we had quite a few speakers as we was at, and I would like to extend my appreciation to Reverend Hatch for allowing us to be at his church. And in his facility where this rally was being held at, and there was a number of people there, like a couple of our elders, like you noticed that was there, Reverend Jesse Jackson, Reverend Al Sharpton, and many times I often say people have a lot to say, about these men and these legendary, or what I would call living legends, whether it be a Minister Farrakhan, whether it be Reverend Jackson or Reverend Sharpton. And I just always appreciate being at this moment in time, that, we have such people that we can look to and say, hey, we was in their time, and to be able to shake hands with them and everything. And we all have our defects, faults, and shortcomings, but I appreciate the fact that regardless of whatever you think of these men, they are always putting their life on the line. And in America, when you speaking out, and you standing on something for social justice, you literally putting your life on the line. So big ups to them, big ups to Reverend Hatch for allowing us to use the facility. But what here is where, as a solution, bridging that generational gap, where like me, like you coming into the fold here at Black Abolition Movement for the Mind, and Joe, I always say an organization or founder is only as good and as strong as those who bring their minds, their times, and their talent to the table. So to get a young brother like you, who I can pour into, that once, as Mufasa said, December when the sun is set on my time, there's a young Joseph who can pick up the matter of Joseph. And your name just means so much in and of itself, Joseph. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
And
Yes, sir.
you've seen my coats of many colors before that
Man.
that the wife make for me. But that's another story. That might be
Brother
another
Blank's
story.
attire is crazy. I just want to let y'all know.
So, but when I hear your name, I think of my coat of many colors. That's what made me go there. But when brothers like yourself come in here and walk through these doors, and as I said, I'm only as strong as the community and the people who bring their time, their talent to the table. So when I get a brother in your generation who coming in with an open mind and willing to help get out here and grind for the minds of our people, that's a part of the solution. Because what is it for me to be out here doing this and doing this work, and I'm not pouring it into another generation? You know what I'm saying? And I think that that should be the goal of anybody who aspire to open an organization, to make sure that you are building new men with new mind, renewing of the mind. Because when we help to deal with the mind, that is a solution. That's why I open the organization up as a solution. We're dealing with a Sonya Massey. It comes down first to deal with police brutality. First means it comes down to self-accountability and responsibility. So we have to take some self-accountability and responsibility to the point where, using our time, our minds, and our talents to be somewhere in a studio or somewhere out of the way of the police. You feel me?
Yes.
So when we like, just like right now, me and you sitting here, and we just kind of chopping it up, so to speak, and expounding on the issues. That means every day, every minute that you sitting here and we talking and we trying to give something to our community, that means you're out of the way, or being out there out of the way, and we're doing something positive,
I love that.
and productive. So part of that is being able, as our minister, I would say the Honorable Marcus Garvey, and many of those like Dr. Martin Luther King and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, some of our ancestors on the wall, teach us the importance of doing for self. Because doing for self, that means we value doing for self, and we not allowing anybody to come into our community to disrespect it after we've worked so hard to acquire it. That means we become the police of the police.
It was so good too to be present. Like I told you, when I first came in that rally, I was like, man, it's so good to see everybody together. And then seeing Jesse Jackson, I'm like, oh my gosh. I had that picture.
That was a little starstruck for you, huh?
I had that picture in my head, like with him next to Dr. Martin Luther King, and you know, and I'm like, they still fighting to this day. And so that's dedication.
Has an obligation. You know, that was Dr. King, that's Reverend Jackson, that's Reverend Jackson, and all those people who we look at and know that the greatness that is in them is the same greatness that are in you, and that means that we have to continue, as we often say, never ever what?
Give up the good fight.
Never give up the good fight. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's a solution, bro, and that's one of many. You know, there's no one all, as I often say, there's no one all cure all, but we all, you know, have to come up with ways. And another thing I would say is, when I say looking within to win, it is important that we realize, as is often said, it's not that we fighting just against flesh. Yes.
Yeah.
The police officer that killed Sonya Massey, he was white. And as I said, I often say, whether it's racism, sexism, and all the other isms, these are just mere instruments to a much bigger fight that we are fighting, called spiritual warfare. That's why I've been in this for so long, bro. Because, you know, I realize I'm not just in here fighting somebody because they white. It's so much deeper than that. When you realize
justice.
When you realize in life there's a much bigger fight, there's a much bigger plight than meets the eye, and these people who allow themselves to be instrument of that darkness that you're fighting against, you look through them and you look at the real issue you're fighting against. And that might be, you might be looking at a person, but the issue we're fighting is so much deeper than that mere human being. You feel me?
Yes.
So we you know, you gotta be in it to win it. And I'll be doing this. I know this year, I feel I'll be doing it for the rest of my life, because I realize and I feel that it's truly the work of the will, the work and the will of the Most High. We're to help our fellow man. So this is an issue when you see somebody being killed, like this cop just shot that sister down. That's evil, bro.
Justice Department says it's assessing the deadly police shooting of Sonya Massey, the Illinois woman who called 911 about a possible prowler, only to be shot and killed by a sheriff's deputy in her own home. CBS's Roxana Saberi has new information about the former deputy charged with Massey's murder. We do want to warn you that some of this video is disturbing.
It's one of the worst police shooting videos ever.
State records obtained by CBS News show Sean Grayson, a 30-year-old former private first class in the Army, worked for 5 different law enforcement agencies in just under 3 years before being hired by the Sangamon County Sheriff's Office last year. CBS News has also learned Grayson was charged twice with driving under the influence of alcohol in 2015 and 2016. He pleaded guilty both times. Ben Crump is an attorney for Massey's family.
Why was he even hired by the Sheriff's Department?
A DUI conviction is not a disqualification from law enforcement in Illinois. Today, some of Massey's family members accuse the sheriff's office of trying to initially cover up what happened. Now, Massey's father is demanding Sheriff Jack Campbell resign.
I think it's a culture to treat this family this bad. If it were not for that camera footage, they'd have lied their way right out of this.
Grayson shoots.
That's evil. So you know it's much bigger and deeper than what meets the eye.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
You know, so
and
go ahead.
Oh yeah, another thing too, I noticed too, thanks to Brother Blanks too, like you always learn something new every day, or try to, or you want to.
It's good to hear that.
And I remember you was telling us when we took that trip to Springfield, Illinois, and it just brought to my attention, like, man, I wish everybody can know this. Like, y'all can fight in so many ways, and one of the ways you can fight is going to the courthouse. You know, give them, just tell them what's any cause that you're going through, and you know, fight by going to these courthouses. Like, you know, we all have a voice. We should be able to use it. You know, talk to the senators and all the congressmen of y'all community, mayors. You know, just reach out to, you know, just don't, when situations happen, you don't have to, you know, stay quiet. You can have a voice and, you know, fight towards, you know, push it to whatever you feel that the law that you want to push, you know. So I thank you for that too.
Yeah,
so.
yeah, no doubt, no doubt. Because when you realize, the issue that we fight is human rights issue, and we also realize that the real power, Joe, the real power, and sometimes we have to remind ourselves, the real power is in the people.
Yes.
Not the politician. You feel me?
I feel that.
Because they couldn't be in that position if not for the people.
Yes.
If they don't have the vote of the people, or the will of the, if they don't have the vote, let me put it like this: the vote of the people might get them in there. But if you're not doing the will of the people, that vote won't keep them in there.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Seriously, it's a full circle.
It's a full circle. Speaking of vote, y'all, as I often say, and you've heard me say this time and time again, that comes to another poem. You know, I'm a spoken word. You know, we do spoken word.
Yeah.
Many people have died. Black folks have been bombed and burned alive. Homes, businesses, and black churches went up in smoke for our right to register to vote. So I often say, vote, even if there's not a political candidate of your choice on the ballot. And in other words, nobody died for our right. Nobody died for our votes to be misused and abused. So we don't go and vote just for somebody to turn around and abuse our vote. But it's important that, you know, when we do vote, if you don't see nobody on the ballot, vote. Even if you vote for yourself,
seriously,
you know, use that vote. So, but I don't want to get too far off topic. But our issue that we want to talk, what we really want to talk about today, and keep the focus on our sister Sonya Massey, peace be upon her.
Yes.
And the many sisters and brothers that have died at the hands of the police. And as we look at this script here, the Spangled Banner, and the issue, racism, drugs, guns, and police brutality. And these are the kind of things that, my brother, that when I look at the injustices, police brutality, and here in this city of Waukegan where we are at right now, there are many who say, speaking of solutions, you know, I'm really pushing for this Waukegan or civilian office of police accountability with some bite, with some teeth, you know, of accountability. And a lot of people might, you know, we might get some pushback and say, well, you know, that civilian office of police accountability is really not what we need. We need that George Floyd. We need that George Floyd Justice Act.
Yes.
Indeed. We need that on a national level.
Yeah, we do.
There's no doubt about it. But in every area that we can hold corrupt and overzealous law enforcement in check and in place, we need to implement every instrument.
Yes.
We need the George Floyd Justice Act. We need that. We need that.
Yes.
You know, in law, we need that. And locally, we need civilian officers of police accountability. And the reason I say that, because when we look at law enforcement, we have to we're looking at just not a local issue. We're looking at a national issue. We're looking at a fraternity. We're looking at, and many times, a fraternity. And we're not going to put a blanket on all police officers. But I'm saying, at large, We need the George Floyd Justice Act. Because, and I would say that on a national level, because when we talk about law enforcement, we talk about a fraternity.
Exactly.
Not just a local fraternity, but we talk about an international fraternity where they take an oath literally to look out for themselves and amongst themselves inside that blue wall of silence before they even step out on the community.
Yeah.
I know some black officers who have had problems with racism from within their own ranks of their precinct.
Exactly.
So that very ugliness of racism has tainted law enforcement, and if you listen to some black officers, they'll tell you what they go through. So a lot of times, when people are trying to look at us and saying we are being racist, but I feel for many of the black law enforcers who are experiencing racism from the very ranks of their own precinct.
You see.
So
yeah, man, I agree with all of that too, because even with I done been in situations where I'm like, man, why I have to be so feel like my life is in danger if I make a little incident and I get pulled over, and I can't. It's crazy because all the situations that happen, you're not supposed to feel comfortable, but you're supposed to be feeling comfortable enough that your life is not at risk. So I do agree that definitely need a lot of changes need to be made.
Oh, without a doubt. But that's up to us to make those changes. You know, a lot of times, there are those say, well, we just, we'll pray and we'll leave it up to God and He gonna fight our battles. Well, in every generation, God has always, from the beginning of time, had some soldiers on the battlefield to do the work. So we just can't sit back and pray it away. But since the beginning of time, there's always been those on the battlefield to do that work, to do the will of the work. And so that's why I say we need the George Floyd Justice Act to come into play, but we need that civilian officer police accountability for those of us in the local environments, because it's not only the civilian officer police accountability, it's not just for the citizens, because you do have some good officers who are really attempting to do the work, who might have had some personal incidents of their own, that maybe that happened when they was young, and they genuinely and sincerely care about doing some justice and cleaning up the community. Yes. And they're passionate about it. But a civilian officer police accountability, but more specifically as to where we are, a Waukegan civilian officer police accountability, if our elected officials really care about their police officers, if they really care about the police officers as well as their community, they would want the civilian officer police accountability. Why? Because it helped even more so to weed out the overzealous, racist, and corrupt officers who do not have the best interest in the will of the people or even their own fellow officers' best interest at hand. Yes. So every measure that we can utilize as an instrument to implement some real serious law enforcement that holistically works out for the best interests of the people, and as well as balance is working out for real good officers, we need that. Yes. Yeah. So what do you think, yo?
Yeah, I definitely agree on all that too, and even because that helps too, because when these fellow police officers get in situations like this, and then their resume shows well, he had this on his record, he transferred to different police force, and I don't want to get in specific, but when you have certain resumes, you shouldn't even be
Well, let's take with the case with this officer. I don't even want to mention his name that killed his sister, Sonya Massey. This guy should have never even been on the force. Yeah. So, a lot of times these people, they'll get in based on nephew tells them they brother or their uncle or their dad on the force. So what does that mean? Yeah. They get in and they're able to bypass and escape the crucial thing they need most. Many of them do not have a real psychological evaluation to determine if they even should even be on the force or not. Because so when you get in there, and because your dad was a cop or whatever the case may be, and he just gonna bring you in, and because he knew somebody, this was your uncle, your son-in-law or brother, whatever the case may be. So you got those who will open up that blue wall when they won't open up to when it should be opened up, and that's to secure the safety of the people. They will open that blue wall up to allow someone in who should not even be on the police department to begin with.
Yeah.
So all of that, that's why we need every tool in the SHIED house in real serious police accountability, you know?
Never give up the good fight.
Never give up the good fight. And I just really feel I'm a man with two daughters of my own, and this young lady who lost her life is around the same age as my daughters, man.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I can't fathom. You can't fathom that kind of pain. Nobody can tell you how that, well, people can tell you about it, but it's not as real to you and feeling it for yourself, you know?
Yeah.
So, like I said, much condolences to the Massey family, and I really wish the best in getting the justice for her. And it's often said, as long as you speak and you talk of someone as an African proverb, they're never dead. And we pass from this flesh, but as I often say, it's a spiritual warfare, and we do not allow those, when this evil is imposed on them, that we forget and we go away, whether it's the Sonya Massey, whether it's the Sandra Bland, whether it's LAQUAN McDonald, Amir Rice. It's so many, too many. Right here at home. Marcellus Danette, Michael French, you know, my young brother who died in the hands of the police. Avion Cotton. I can go on and on and on, but we shouldn't have to. But it's just a mere fact. It's a reality here that when you live in an area that has been scarred, we have been a scarred people. A lot of times people look at that symbol, that Star Spangled Banner, and they says, well, why did you do that to the American flag? No. That's not the American flag. And as I often have to remind people, Betsy Ross and the American government would never project such instruments of torture, abuse, and brutality on the American flag. But this is the reality of what black folk have been through and continue to go through here. We have been a scarred people, but without struggle, there's no progress. And out of that struggle, out of those pains, out of those many scars, have come the best of us. But we have a responsibility if we still here.
Yes.
We have the Harriet Tubman responsibility. If we still here, we should be reaching back, giving back, and doing some good in the hood. And I say that sitting here 34 years, cocaine clean, crack and heroin free, from being one of my own best customers. So when the Most High and the ancestors deliver you and give you your life back, bro, to whom much is given, much is required. Yeah. I owe the ancestors, I owe the Most High my life through this work.
Yeah, a beautiful testimony too. Yeah. That's another thing that I respect about you too, because now you don't even do it for yourself. You know, you rebuild other people too. Like
that's the idea.
And I love that about you too, and just your family, the whole organization. So. Like I said, I'm glad to be a part of it.
I'm glad to help you here.
I'm learning here
more
too.
More brotherly love. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And building one to another.
Yeah.
You know, this violence prevention, and another thing I want to mention when we talking about, oftentimes when in the community we talking about violence prevention. A lot of grant money, it comes into the community, and we are talking about preventing violence. But what we do not want to do, we do not want to make it look as though violence prevention begin and end at the front and back doorstep of our community. Because when we're talking about violence prevention, or gun violence prevention in specifically, police gun violence.
Yes.
is gun violence. I don't care how you want to look at it
Definitely
and chop it
included.
up. Huh?
It's definitely
You gotta
included.
That is gun violence. When you have rogue police officers like this guy who should never been on the force, man, that's the worst kind of gun violence. So we should never have a forum or a platform where we are discussing gun violence. You hear me?
Yes.
And we're not discussing police gun violence. When you look at this sister Sonya Massey. What do we say in the closing here, Joe?
I believe we go by read, write, recite, and never give up the good fight.
Bam!
Bam.
Hotel fam.
Oh, say, can you see our neighborhoods in misery and how I'm proudly we stare at the crack pipes red glare? Yeah,
Poor people are oppressed and unfixed. Stealing our books and beat us lies and dirty tricks. Of our hoods, you have made a new plantation. Planting your guns and crack rocks. Preconditioned as your victims of history. Now we slave to this new trade. While our slave mentality serves as shackles and locks. Oh, say, can you see our neighborhoods in misery? Somebody please play some blues for me. Yeah, and play for our community. Ha! Can you play some blues for me? Yeah, and play for our community. Play it.
Our neighborhoods in misery. And how
They said we do the crime.
we
You
stand
know we have to pay the price.
at the crack pipes red
Why
glare.
more than overstand? What should an offender have
Cause
to pay for the
of our
rest of his
hoods,
or her life?
You have made a new
Constantly
plantation.
harassed. Stop and check.
Do you planning
Reducing these jobs
Of
or
guns.
opportunity of no or low respect.
And crack
It can
rocks.
easily be your mother, daughter, brother,
Preconditioned
cousin,
as your
who made
victims of
one or
history.
few mistakes that he
Now
or
we
she now
slave
regret.
to this new trade.
Paying a price
While
for the
our
rest of their
slave
life
mentality
simply because
serves
they have been
as
labeled
shackles
felons
and
or
locks.
class as X. Impounding our lives all over town. Racial profiling is the thing that I know that's really going down now. Bogus roadblocks, traffic stop by cops shooting us down from block to block. Kaepernick kneeled to appeal, said this madness has to stop. Oh, say, can you see our neighborhoods in misery? Somebody please play some blues for me. Woo, and play for our community.
Over
Yeah,
our
can you
dead
play
bodies
some
with
blues
yellow
for me?
tape.
Yeah, and play
You
for
keep
our
walking.
community.
As our blood overruns the white chalk. And the
Tell them
crack
to stand
pipes,
strong.
red glare.
Rise to the
And
occasion.
the crack and gun smoke
Look your
fills
oppressor
the
in the
air.
eye and say no sweat.
It gives proof
We have overcome
Through the
challenges in slavery throughout
that much
centuries, and
of this
we
government
can definitely overcome as
just really
so-called
don't
felons
care.
labeled in class as X. Over dead bodies, yellow tape, you keep walking as our blood overruns the white chalk and as the crack pipes red glare. Cracking gun smoke fills the air everywhere and give proof through the night that our government just really don't care, just really don't care.
Yeah, yeah.
Pump your fist in the air if you feel like this government just really don't care.
One time, yeah. Pump it up.
Chicago, pump your fist in the air. Detroit, pump your fist in the air. Ohio, pump your fist in the air. New York, pump your fist in the air. LA, pump your fist in the air. Mississippi, just pump your fist in the air. Everywhere, pump your fist in the air. How can that star-spangled banner yet wave? Poor people are still here enslaved. Young bodies shot while they play. Too many falling victim to an early grave. Oh, say, can you see our neighborhoods in misery? Somebody please play some blues for me. Yeah, and play
So
for
how
our
can
community.
that
What? Can you play
star-spangled
some blues for me? And
banner
play for
yet
our
wave
community.
Over
Take
this
it home.
land of some
oh,
that's
say,
free.
can you see our
Yet still a
neighborhoods
home
in misery and how
that
I'm proudly we
cultivates